Hello out there, Instagram. Stephanie back here with another Yale Alumni Live. We are really excited to have another current student to talk to us today, Jordan Carey, who is a current Bulldogs football player. He's going to be joining us any moment to tell us a little bit about what it's like to be a student athlete on the football team at Yale. He's going to share with us a little bit about what his experience has been like in the bowl and what it's like to beat Harvard, because he was on the team last year that beat Harvard. So we're really excited to welcome him. He'll be joining us any moment through the Yale football IG account. And while we're waiting for Jordan to join us, I just want to remind everybody that we have some really cool filters and some fun stickers for your own Instagram stories if you just search Yale Alumni and Pep Rally, because this week is the first week of 2 weeks of special activities and events surrounding all things the game. We've been interviewing cheerleaders, former pep band members, football players, and even next week we're going to be live with Coach Reno at the bowl to get a little bit of a behind the scenes tour. So hopefully Jordan will be able to join us in just a moment, and we'll get to hear firsthand from him what it's like to be a Yale football player. There he is. Hi, Jordan.
Hey, how you doing?
How are ya?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good. It's a rainy, dreary day here today, isn't it? It's kind of
Yeah, a little
bummy.
bummer.
Well, I'm excited to have you with us and to talk a little about your experience as a football player for Yale. So I was just telling everybody that you were on the team last year when they beat Harvard. So we're definitely going to talk about that. But let's get started with telling us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, where you're from, and why you decided to come to Yale.
Yeah, so originally I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, born and raised. And eventually I got to Yale just my junior year. They started recruiting me for football, and like I was public school, completely never knew what Yale was, like wasn't even on my radar. So like for them to even like reach out and send like a letter, just a letter of interest, and yeah, that took me off guard and started following that route. So then through senior year, um, going into my senior season is when I committed. And like
And so
just oh
go
yeah,
ahead, Jordan. Go ahead.
I was gonna say yeah, just like just the atmosphere, and like I took a few visits, and like the team it's really had that family atmosphere about it that I just love. So end up
So going
committing.
from not knowing what Yale wasn't on your radar to getting interest from the coach to coming to visit campus, you couldn't say no, basically, right?
Yeah, it was just like it was a win-win in all categories as far as like being able to be able to compete football at a very high level as far as being a division one program, and then of course the academic side of things is just like it's a world-class institution, so couldn't say no to it.
One of the things that some of our other former football players have said is that they loved the bowl so much that they couldn't say no to playing in the bowl. Is that a similar feeling that you had?
Yeah, getting a chance to see the bowl for the first time, one of my visits was just like really, really incredible because it's one of the biggest stadiums, in college football. So just yeah, just the views from like the top of the stadium, you can see East Rock is just awesome.
So now that you're here and you are 3 years into your career, tell me what it's been like being at Yale. What are some of your favorite parts of being on campus outside of football?
Outside of football, I would say just even walking around campus, just like the architecture, just the vibe, just everything about being on campus is just really cool. Um, just other student orgs I'm involved in, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated as well. So that's been a major part of like my Yale experience. And yeah, it's just
It's an amazing place, right? Like
yeah.
where would you rather be? So tell us what your major is, Jordan. What are you majoring in?
Right now I'm majoring in political science.
And do you have any career aspirations for what you'd like to do with your degree?
See, I'm not entirely sure. Like after college, I want to ideally pursue a master's in business and
Hmm.
then potentially get into like real estate development.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
there's a ton of Yalees out there who will help you along the way. Anybody watching, take note. Jordan Carey. He'll be graduating in a couple of years. So, Jordan, I have another question for you. What residential college are you in?
Benjamin Franklin.
So we
Yeah, I
actually
love
have
that.
a filter right now where you can, like in Instagram, where you can like get that little sorting hat above your head and press the button down and a
Oh, really?
college will pop up. And I got Benjamin Franklin. So I feel like maybe I can potentially just kind of do that by association, right? You think I'd fit in okay there?
Definitely, definitely.
So let's talk a little bit about football specifically. So tell me a little bit about what it's like to be a student athlete at Yale. What is that experience like? Because a lot of people tell us that it's like having a full-time job or an additional course load because you have a lot of responsibilities to your team and your academics. So tell us a little bit about what that's like for you.
Yeah, I'll be lying to you if I told you it wasn't hard, but it's definitely a rewarding, feeling as far as like going. So like initially getting on campus, I had got to be like the freshman in my class as well. So like that was really important as far as like having that transition to really feel comfortable and being on campus and like yes, that's kind of what I mean as far as where it's rewarding as well. Just those building those relationships has been like it's part of one of the probably the best things I can say about the program.
And how many days a week in a typical year, how much time do you guys spend working out, practicing, spending time together? What does that usually look like in a normal year?
So a year is pretty much in phases. So like usually we come in fall is our season. So typically we come in fall camp. That would be like the first like couple 2 to 3 weeks of the school year. And then season, of course, after the season, that's like Thanksgiving break. Come back, you have like a couple weeks of like mandatory, no anything, just a little bit of break, and then that's after that straight into like our winter period. So that's just like weight room, have lifts 4 days a week. That'll be throughout like winter break, going into the beginning of the spring semester. So like that January, February, March period, all the way up until like spring break, it's pretty much our whole winter block where we'd be heavy into the weight room as far as lifts 4 days a week. Then after spring break, we start transitioning into more like field work and like practices and stuff like that. So like after spring break, we come back, it's spring ball, we have practices 3 to 4 days a week, conditioning, still lifting, and then that'll be transitioning us all the way through like the end of the school year. And then after that, it's the summer, which most guys they like to come up here for the summer, so you can still be around the team, lifting, using the weight room and all that, and being able to interact with our strength and conditioning staff, which is really important as far as like make sure our bodies are ready for the season going in. So usually guys come back for the summer, and that'll be like you do summer in like 2 periods, so it'd be June and July, so either session, or you can do both.
So it sounds kind of like no days off.
Essentially. Yeah.
It is quite the commitment, clearly. Just following along with your schedule just now felt like a commitment. So I can only imagine what that's like for you guys. So let's talk a little bit about your experiences with the team, and maybe you could tell us a story about your team that, something that you love off the field, or something about the guys on your team. You guys are team number
We were 148.
148. And this
Yep.
year would have been 149. Is that right? I
No, I believe
think so.
we're this year would have been 148, and then we're keeping
Would have
that.
been 148.
Yeah.
Okay. So just tell us a little story about your team. Now, you live with a bunch of your teammates, right?
Hmm.
Are they like in the back, like giving you faces right now? They probably
Nah,
are.
they're in another room right now playing the game, something like that.
Do you have a fun story maybe from the road that you can share with us about your experience being on the team?
Yeah, just something quick I can go through. Just think about the summers. Let's see. Usually we like to try to do like a team related activity over summer. So like I know one year, my freshman year, our captain he took us all to the beach, which was like really cool. Um, what other stories?
Jordan, tell us what it was like last year being on the team in an unbelievable game against Harvard. What was that like? What was that experience like?
That was incredible. Just like the fear of like not knowing if like going into double overtime. It's like, oh my God, if they shut us down, it's a tie, and then we lost the ring. So like that was up in the air. The protests, that threw a whole nother wrench to the game. Just like, man, what are we gonna do if they shut us down because of that? It was crazy. So like just to come out on top in the end, it made everything feel like it came full circle.
Yeah,
which
it
is
was a pretty incredible game. We were talking to the cheerleaders, yes, two of our cheerleaders yesterday, and they were saying just how amazing it is to be a part of that whole atmosphere. I mean, as a person who did not grow up thinking they were going to come and play in the Yale Bowl, when you're on the field and you look around and see all the fans at the game, what does that feel like?
oh, it feels very good. It feels like, being a part of that tradition and the school spirit is just, it's a great atmosphere to be a part of, for sure.
It's incredible to see the game in all its glory. So, Jordan, one of the pictures, well, the picture that you sent to me to put together our little marketing piece for this conversation today was a picture of you and some of your teammates signing autographs for little guys.
Hmm.
So, tell me, like, what is that like for you to now be somewhat of a grown up who is signing autographs for little kids? Like, what is that experience like, being on the field and having them look up to you? Do you feel, any sense of responsibility? Do you try and impart some knowledge on them? What is that like for you?
Yeah, a slight sense of responsibility for sure. It's like people definitely look up to you, or you're very noticeable on campus as far as being a student athlete. So that part of it, it was really honestly it was really fun. Of like after the games, they always want to take your gloves or like have your towel or just little stuff like that that can mean the world to them in the moment. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's amazing to see the looks on their faces when they're meeting you guys. You guys are an inspiration to them. So next week we're going to be meeting with Coach, and we're going to be going over to the bowl, and we're going to get some behind the scenes of the bowl and some of the renovations that have happened over the past couple of years. So this, I didn't tell you I was going to do this, so you can take a moment to think about it.
Okay.
But thinking about those little kids and what an influence and inspiration you are to them, and the role that coaches play in a child's sports career, what would you say is one of the greatest things about your coach?
Greatest thing about our coach
I
would
save
be
this and record it and share it, so if you want to take a second to think about it, so
got
it's
you. No, no, no.
really good.
I'll say the greatest thing about our coach would be the intentionality on building relationships and a culture within our team like that. As far as a team sport like football, having that like closeness is very important, and it translates to our success for sure on the field. So that we'll say is our best thing about our coaching staff for sure.
Can you give us an example of something that he does that you think is kind of amazing?
So like in our team meetings, we have what's called brick talk,
Hmm.
and essentially you write down like six phrases or words that mean, something to you. So everybody on the team gets up and introduces their brick and explains why they put what they put on it. So like our Coach Reno, he did his to start it off.
And did he have some really awesome knowledge to impart that you can share, or do we have to keep that private?
Yeah, we'll keep it private. Yeah, you can keep that.
There you go. That's a perfect
Yeah.
example of that
Yeah.
team camaraderie. What have you guys been doing to stay together as a team this season since there is no season?
Just trying to get as many meetings and like stuff like that as we could as possible. So like having team meetings, position meetings, trying to really keep trying to foster those relationships as we said earlier. But yeah, then of course when we're not in phase zero like we are now, but like phase one, we would have practices on Wednesday mornings, still lifting 4 days a week, that kind of thing for guys who are enrolled and part of the on-campus community.
Yeah, it's been a tough year, but we all look forward to hopefully coming back next year and being there together at the game. Fingers crossed. So I'm going to ask you one last question, then I'll let you get back to your studies. If you were, imagine right now that you were standing in front of a group of young kids who want to grow up and play football at Yale, what kind of advice would you give to them?
I would say never stop believing in yourself and like the power of your hard work. Like I never thought I could be in the position that I'm in right now, but a lot of it went to just like focusing in on the moment and what you can do now to hopefully be where you are, be where you want to be later. So yeah,
All
never leave.
right. Jordan, I think that's great. And I also have noticed there are like a million people shouting you out right now who apparently love you and support you and think you're amazing. And I do too. So is there anybody that you want to say hello to? Maybe mom, dad,
Uh,
brother?
yeah, I would say, hey, shout out to my mom and dad. They've been a very big part of the reason I'm successful, and I love you guys. So,
Look at that. So
yeah,
sweet.
that's super
Can't ever
fantastic.
forget mom and dad. Well, Jordan, thank you for being here with us today. We can't wait to see you guys back in action. We
Of
wish you
course.
all the best and go Bulldogs.
All
Thank you
right,
so
thank
much.
you.
We'll talk to everybody. See you soon.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.
See you.